Welcome to the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, or NCDPI, World Language Quarterly Update on January 30th. My name is Anne Marie Gunter. I'm the World Languages Consultant at NCDPI. And these quarterly update webinars are offered to give information relevant to all world language programs. So we're going to have some details for specific programs, as well as updates on national, regional, and state initiatives. We're also going to share some information that you can pass along to other world language teachers on topics related to implementing our World Language Essential Standards. All K-20 World Language administrators, teachers, and instructors are welcome. And we will post these materials following the broadcast so that anyone can access them to use them for local professional development. Today's agenda is coming up on the screen. You see a picture of me. As I said, I'm Anne Marie Gunter, your World Languages Consultant here at NCDPI. We'll begin with a welcome and overview and talk about news that you can use, our national, regional, and state updates. Our spotlight today is on North Carolina's AP or Advanced Placement programs and our partnership. Beth Cross, who you see pictured there, is with us. She's a state consultant with AIG and Advanced Programs, and she's going to be sharing with us about North Carolina's AP programs and partnerships. We'll then end the broadcast with some reminders and resources and address any questions that haven't been already answered in our work today. One thing we like to do is offer some poll questions and things like that, and that also gives us time to pause and look for any questions. So my question for you today is, what are your goals with today's webinar? Are you a teacher leader sharing information with colleagues from this broadcast? Are you an administrator gathering materials for local presentations? Are you an educator earning a contact hour for licensure renewal? Are you an individual getting a question answered? Or would you prefer to remain anonymous on a Wednesday afternoon? So what I'm going to do is launch that poll question, and you can answer by just clicking on your responses. You can check all that apply, so you may have more than one goal for being here today. Please take a moment and do that. Let's take about 10 more seconds so everyone can get their votes in and make their decisions. All right, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and close our poll, and then I can share the results with you. All right, so as you can see, over half of you said one of your goals for today is to earn a contact hour for licensure renewal. Contact hours to accumulate for a CEU can be earned by those who participate in the live broadcast of webinars in the World Language Webinar Series. Today's webinar is 1 hour long, so 1 contact hour or 0.1 CEUs can be earned. Please save the email receipt you receive from the GoToWebinar system to document your contact hour towards a CEU for licensure renewal. This is a content activity for world languages, and note that local districts or charter schools must approve professional development offerings. In addition, a certificate will come with that email, so please be sure and save that certificate to document for your contact hour. Also, a recording is being made of today's webinar, and the archive, including these slides, will be available for local training approximately 1 week from today. These materials can be used as professional development resources locally with contact hours documented by the district or school if you would like. I also see that 36% of you are here because you're a teacher leader sharing information with others. 29% of you said you're an individual getting a question answered. I hope we can get to all of our questions today. We'll certainly work hard on that. A few of you, 14%, said you're an administrator gathering materials for local work. And 7% of you said you just want to remain anonymous, and that's good too. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. In our news to use today, we have some national and regional announcements to share. We have a new actual executive director, and also we have some information to share about our regional organization of SCOLT with a conference preview and the conference registration information. ACTFL, the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, is our national professional organization. We have a new executive director at ACTFL. His name is Howard or Howie Berman. You can see him pictured on the screen. He has degrees in Spanish and Middle Eastern Studies, and he's served 3 years already as ACTFL's Chief Operating Officer, so he's very familiar with ACTFL. He's also served as the ACTFL Director of Membership and Administration. Further details about Mr. Berman are available on the press release from ACTFL, which is linked in the notes section of this slide, and has a lot of information about his background and some of the things he's going to be focusing on as Executive Director. He's taking over from Marty Abbott, who you see pictured there too. She retired as ACTFL Executive Director at the end of 2018. She had served 7 years as Executive Director, and before that 8 years as the ACTFL Director of Education. She has also worked as a district coordinator and a Spanish and Latin teacher. So her experience and expertise will be shared, of course, with Mr. Berman as he takes over those duties. Also, regionally, I wanted to share with you that the SCOLT Talk, the newsletter publication for our regional organization, the Southern Conference on Language Teaching, has just been released. This one is particularly interesting because it is the SCOLT Talk Conference preview. So it has a lot of information about the upcoming conference. It also has information about the SCOLT Teacher Scholarships, which are due tomorrow, January 31st. You can apply for those online. It has information about the pre-conference workshops, including the one on dual language immersion. There's an awards overview of all the awards that SCOLT gives recognizing K-20 world language educators. And there's also details about the brand new scholarship that SCOLT has for high school seniors, and that's called the Ken Stewart Future Language Educator Scholarship. The SCOLT Talk conference preview can be viewed online with the link you see there on the screen, and also downloaded as a PDF if you would prefer. And again, just like before, there's further details in the notes section of this slide, including links to those 2 options of accessing the SCOLT Talk conference preview. Also with SCOLT, the SCOLT conference is coming up, SCOLT 2019, with the theme of Leaving Lasting Footprints. It will be in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina from March 21st through the 23rd. It is also co-hosted by FLANC, our state organization, the Foreign Language Association of North Carolina. We're one of 3 partners with SCOLT to be the host, since it's a Carolina kind of thing that's happening this year. SCOLT registration is open. There are a number of pre-conference workshops you can sign up for, and over 150 sessions that go with the conference registration overall. That includes some things, including a luncheon where the SCOLT Teacher of the Year, or TOY, will be named. And of course, North Carolina has their Teacher of the Year from FLANC running that competition to be the Regional Teacher of the Year. Various registration rates are available, as you see there, particularly through March 1st for the early bird discount, as well as undergraduate students. And you also have a one-day only option to attend the conference in Myrtle Beach if that is better for your schedule. That's it for regional news. I want to move on now to our state updates. Some of you already know that our old World Language wiki space has been transitioned to the new NCDPI World Languages Google Sites. I think everyone is aware that Wikispace as a company went out of business, and so we have now moved things to a Google site, which is exciting, and we're going to explore that here in a moment. Also, we will have a new Google site for our dual language immersion or DLI programs to replace the Wikispace that they had, but that is still in process, so it has not been publicly released yet. Let's take a look at our new World Languages website. You see here there are several different links, including a bit.ly link, because the actual link is a bit long. So I want everyone to go to that. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat box so that you can just click on the link and go out with me to this website that we now have. All right, take a look at your control panel. You should have that bit.ly link, the bit.ly/NCDPIWL. That will take you directly out to the website so that we can explore around a little bit on that. All right. The landing page is what you see here on the screen. I want everybody to become familiar with this, as well as how this is organized so that you can find what you need when you need it. Please note that this looks similar to what we had before on the wiki spaces. Make this just a little larger so we can see it. And note that our navigation bar this time, instead of being on the left-hand side like it was on the wiki spaces, is actually both in the middle of the landing page as well as on the upper right-hand corner. So you see Contact Us, the standards link, resources, professional development, policy, and help. And you see that also in the upper right-hand corner. So it's always there. On the landing page itself, there's a welcome message, and then our information from the wiki space so that everyone can recognize, of course, the icon we've been using for our World Language Essential Standards. I've left the World Language Study and how it benefits all students. I know some of you are using that in your advocacy for your programs. Like before, we also have some downloadable information to help you get started with things or share information with students and parents who may be asking. We have the World Languages in North Carolina document, as well as the Language Diversity in North Carolina document. These are both downloadable from the Google Drive just like they were on the wiki space. So if you click on either the picture of the World Languages in North Carolina document or the link here, right underneath it, it will take you directly out to that so that you can see it. You can download your own copy. Please note that this is still the February 2018 version of the document. We will soon have enrollment information to publish a new one for 2019. That one will say, for starters of changes, that we have 18 languages being taught in K-12 now. All 17 that you see there, plus Urdu. And also that 13 languages have been recognized with our Global Languages Endorsement, North Carolina's Seal of Biliteracy. So to have similar statewide enrollment information, it'll also have details like you see here on the flip side, or the back side of this document on page 2. In addition, going back to that landing page, below the documents that are pictured, we also have some language-specific versions of the World Languages in North Carolina document. These are compiled upon request for presentations as well as state professional organizations. Notice we have them for 5 different languages based on those requests, and the most recent one is one for ASL, or American Sign Language. The North Carolina chapter of ASLTA, the association, the American Sign Language Teachers Association, had requested that, and so we posted that recently. So that's our landing page now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other components of our new World Languages website. I'm going to go over to the Contact Us section, which you can reach, as I said, by either hitting the Contact Us button there in the middle that I'm highlighting, or in the upper right-hand corner where it says Contact Us. Either one will work and will take you to where you need to go. When you get there, you see that there's information about how to contact me, your NCDPI World Languages team, as well as my supervisor and folks like that. We also have information about our NCDPI listservs for world languages. If you're not already signed up for the listservs, you can click on that link that says NCDPI Sign Up for Updates page and sign up for any of the world language listservs. We, of course, have 4 for world languages, but you're welcome to sign up for any that are offered by NCDPI that will help you in your work. So there's information on things like legislative updates on education, charter schools, global education, and a number of topics that may be of interest to you. We also have our list here of world language coordinators. We always maintain a list of contacts for each district and charter school, so that when people have questions about things like, what languages are offered in a particular district or at their high schools, we can connect them to the people that they need to talk to about that. One good thing to do with the World Language Coordinators list is to double check that the person listed for your district or charter school is in fact the correct person. Sometimes we have people transition or retire and we need to make updates. That coordinators list is also available underneath the Policies tab at the top and where they have their own page for NC coordinators. Going across from Contact Us, we also have Standards. So I'm going to click on that link at the top. That takes you to our standards page where you see our World Language Essential Standards posted, just like we had on the wiki space. You see the main document is posted as a PDF and a Word version up at the top. And then we have our instructional toolkit components, the crosswalk, the unpacking documents for all K-12 programs in our standards, and the Global Education Resource document for the World Language Essential Standards. As we scroll down that standards page, you also see that there are some curriculum writing resources like the Clarifying Objectives by Course documents. There'll be links to our formative assessment tools like the assessment examples, the graphic organizers, and our Linguafolio. And then there are also program resources like our administrator guides, the course codes for world languages, the crosswalk with community college courses for world languages, and then informational flyers on world language programs. As you can see, some of these things are not yet linked, and that is because we are still moving some things over. But don't worry, they'll be there soon. In addition, we had some other things available as part of our standards work that were used with the development of the standards and the implementation. We have several tools from Actful. You see there on the left-hand side. We have their, first of all, icon that shows how proficiency builds over time in world languages. But then we also have the performance descriptors for language learners, the proficiency guidelines, the successful Actful can-do statements, and the oral proficiency levels in the workplace poster. In addition, on the right-hand side, we have some external tools and national standards that we use with our standards work. The 21st Century Skills Map for World Languages is still posted there and available just like it was on the Wikispace. We also have that document that shows 21st century skills with technology tools for world languages, the actual World Readiness Standards for Learning Languages, which are our national standards, and then standards for classical language learning, which are, of course, aligned with the Actful standards, as well as the standards for learning American Sign Language. All of those national standards documents, of course, were used to align with our state standards. We also have a link at the bottom that talks about accessing standards for all of the content areas. So if you want to see math standards or science standards or social studies, there's a link there to go to that. So that's our standards page. I'm going to go up here on the next link, which is our resources page. Under resources, we have a number of things that we have moved over from the old Wikispace. We also have some new icons, so I hope we can get used to using those. The K-16 learning resources that you see on the left-hand side features things from particularly our University of North Carolina or UNC campus partners for K-16 classrooms. We have a link to the Carolina Navigator Culture Kits, which some of you may order for your classrooms. Also to the North Carolina Virtual Public School or NCVPS Culture Cafes for world languages, the Teaching the EU Toolkits, and then the libraries from the UNC Duke Latin American Consortium and the Latin American Caribbean work. So that's all there and accessible. In the middle, we have leader resources. We are going to be linking up soon information about our administrator guides that we have to go with the standards for world languages, the Canvas courses that we'll be offering for implementing our world language essential standards, particularly for teachers new to the profession or new to the classroom in general. We'll have information about heritage language programs, professional organizations, and of course the webinar series information. On the right-hand side, we have linked up a number of things about licensure information. We do get a lot of questions about people renewing their license, of course, and so we have links directly to the NCDPI licensure pages where you can get information for beginning teachers, international teachers, out-of-state, and lateral entry teachers, as well as updating or renewing your license. So there's a direct link over to those pages so you can get the current information. At the bottom of this page, we have K-20 opportunities. So these are the pages you may remember from the wiki spaces that talked about things like awards, contests, grants, scholarships, things like that for either educators, K-20 in world languages, or students. And so we have set those up so that you can click on the link to go see the student opportunities or the educator opportunities with those buttons that you see beneath. I'll just go quickly out to the K-20 student opportunities. If you click on that, what comes up is a Google Doc that can be updated automatically, and of course things are arranged chronologically by deadline as they were on the Wikispace. So you see information like we've already talked about with the scholarship for high school seniors, as well as the other things that are available. And you can access this and click on what you need to find out more about so that you can share that with your students. We have a similar one for K-20 educator opportunities, and again, I post all of the grants and scholarships and awards and possibilities. If there's ever anything you come across that you don't see here but you think should be there, please contact me and let me know about that so we can consider it to be posted. All right, so that's on the resources page. One thing that's linked off the resources page, and I think is a fairly popular resource that we offer on the website, is the clarifying objectives by course documents. I've done a little work on this, so they're a little bit different than what they used to be. We used to have a very text-heavy page on the Wikispace for this, and so I've tried to make that a little easier to navigate. Our clarifying objectives by course documents are just what they say. They're the documents used for standards-based curriculum writing in North Carolina. They have all of the clarifying objectives for a particular course or class, and they're downloadable as Word documents so that you can use them in a variety of flexible ways for what you need to do. Instead of having a text-heavy page with all the documents on it for every single language, we actually have broken them down so that each language has its own page. And so you can see here the buttons across the screen where you can click for the documents that for the world language that you teach. And so I'll just give you a minute to kind of look at that. And then let's pick one. Why don't we pick Cherokee here? That's one of our languages, one of the 18 languages taught in North Carolina. If you go to the Cherokee page, you'll see that there's some basic information about what these documents are for, just like you saw on the main page. And then we have all of the information for the elementary school courses for that language. And so you can see them here. We have the course codes and things like that. Then we have in a Google Drive all those documents that you would need. So instead of them being individually linked like they used to be, they're all in a Google Drive where you can download the ones that you need. We have the same thing for middle school courses. Again, the course codes and some explanation about how those are used for different types of courses in the middle school, and then a Google Drive where you can get your documents. If a language has a dual language immersion offering like Cherokee does, we also have the documents for that, again, right out of our World Language Essential Standards for proficiency outcomes in the language. And then we have those documents to work with on the left-hand side. Finally, we have all the high school course information, including things like how those course codes align to community college offerings of the language, and how level 3 and higher courses, of course, are inherently honors and advanced courses. And then once again, down below that, we would have the information, those documents where you could download them from the Google Drive and use them directly. We also have information about things like heritage language programs for that particular language and those course codes. And if the language has something like advanced placement courses or international baccalaureate courses that are taught in North Carolina, we have a section on that language's page for that information as well, and links to that information. All right. So that's one of our resources. Like I said, that's off the resource page, but there's so much there that it has its own page right off the resources that you can see here. All right. And I'm seeing a note, no one has a question, but someone says, love this, how they're organized and they're there. I'm glad to hear that. It is a lot of work putting these together, but I know how important these documents are as we work together to make sure we're implementing our state standards and we're doing it comprehensively with our proficiency outcomes in mind. So they're all there for you. All right, watching our time, let's go ahead and move along to our professional development section of the website. Again, all the things that we had on the Wikispace are here. We are introducing some new icons. So you see professional development one looks like a little plant that's growing because we all want to grow through professional development. It has some general information about professional development and some links to the things that we use most often. So for example, we have a page just for our World Language webinar series like we're doing today. And we also have links to the other professional development opportunities that might be of interest to world language educators. I'm going to click on that for a moment. You can click on the link, the other professional development opportunities text, or you can click on the link here that shows these third-party options. That's the little house icon, I call it. So that takes you out to a page that lists our professional development for K-20 educators. Just like the other Google Doc, this has an explanation, has a note about when they're happening. You see our webinar is happening today. That's on 1:30. And so you can click on these links and go over and get more information for the professional development, whether it's a webinar or a conference or a workshop or whatever it is. We do also have a link to the webinar series, as you saw, and that's also linked separately off of our professional development page, should you ever need it. This is our overview of our World Language webinar series. You've seen this before, I'm sure, on the Wikispace. Everything is still there just as it was. One thing that we've done that's a little bit different is we have the upcoming webinars posted here at the middle of the page, and at the bottom is where we archive everything. So today's broadcast will go here. and you can see that we always post the presentation slides, a recording of the broadcast that's on our World Language playlist on the NCDPI YouTube channel, and then the other links and things that we use. So you see our past webinar information is already all there. Finally, the last part of the website is our policies. We have legislation and policies where we talk about how legislation works for education in North Carolina. And then we have a space for legislation and state board policies relating to world languages. So all the things that, we had on the wiki space are still there. There's information about high school graduation, references to the specific State Board of Education policies into their policy manual. And then some things that are particular to world languages like state standards and our global languages endorsement, which is our seal of biliteracy. We do have further explanation about the seal of biliteracy, either by clicking on the please see the global languages endorsement page for more information, or by going up to the top, and again, under the policies tab, you can go directly to the NC's seal of biliteracy page, which is what we'll do now. That's what this looks like here. We have more detailed information about the seal of biliteracy, including an outline of the policy requirements for English language arts and world languages, as well as the details for our English learners, if that is something that your students need. We then have further details about the world language options and how you complete those. And then we have some data on the global languages endorsement so far. We have had it since the class of 2015 for our graduates, and we do have a list available that shows how many global languages endorsements and in what languages each district and charter school has already granted. At the bottom, we have some additional resources that you can link to if you need to about either our specific North Carolina Seal of Biliteracy, because we did a whole webinar just on that, and we also have a link to the National Seal of Biliteracy website. Finally, the Help button here on our website takes you to the navigating the site. And so if you're ever wondering, where did I see that on the website or where is it located, you can go to this page, and when you scroll down, there's a site map that tells you where things are located. This will be added to on an ongoing basis, of course, as we continue to transfer everything over from the wiki space, but we may also find some new resources that are important to include here and on our pages. So that is our new Google site. I hope you will take some time, if you haven't already, to explore what's there for you and to let me know if there's anything missing, whether it's just because it hasn't been linked up yet or because it's something that we need to include and didn't include on the wiki space. Just let me know about it and I'll be happy to add it. All right, that brings us to the end of our News to Use section. Let's transition here quickly with our poll question. Which of the news items that we talked about will you use or share before this Friday? And this Friday, by the way, don't forget, is February 1st, the start of a new month. Will you share the information about the actual executive director, or the SCOLT Talk conference preview, or the SCOLT conference registration information, or our NCDPI World Languages Google site? You can check all that apply. I'm going to go ahead and launch that question and check our question box to see if there's anything else we need to attend to. All right, let's go ahead and finish up our votes here. What have you decided to share before Friday? All right, I'm going to go ahead and close out our poll and then share the results with you. All right, looks like everybody said they're going to share the new World Languages Google site. Thank you for that. And again, let me know how I can make it even better for us to use together. We also have some people who are going to share the information about the SCOLT conference registration that's coming up. And of course, we have early bird registration until March 1st. And some are also going to share the actual executive director announcement. That's important to know and keep on top of who's leading our national organization. All right. With that, I'm going to turn things over to my colleague, Beth Cross.
Hello, everybody. Since we're changing speakers, I just want to make sure that you can hear me as well in a different location than Dr. Gunter. If you don't mind raising your hand to let us see that you can hear me. And Dr. Gunter, I'm not sure.
I don't think anyone's raising their hand yet. Beth, you're coming in a little garbled somehow. And I'm
Okay.
getting some comments that you're kind of hard to hear. One thing I
Okay.
always remind myself is to use the microphone like a lollipop. So kind of put your microphone in front of your mouth as though it were a lollipop, um,
Okay.
and see if that
Is
helps.
this a little better? Is this a little better?
Yes, that's a little better. Just make sure you
Okay.
speak clearly into that, and I think we'll be good.
Okay, I will. This is my first time doing a webinar with my headset. I usually do them with my telephone in a conference room. So bear with me. I am from the Department of Public Instruction's Division of Advanced Learning and Gifted Education. I work with another colleague with AIG across the state, and as well as Advanced Placement, International Baccalaureate, and Cambridge International Education. So I'm going to give you some broad strokes of some things that we do to support gifted and advanced learners and teachers across the state. So Anne Marie, if you'll go to the poll question.
Okay. I'm going to do the poll question in a minute. We're still having a little bit of a hard time hearing you, Beth.
Okay.
Someone has suggested maybe you switch to a cell phone or a phone to do a call-in. Would that be possible?
Okay. I can do that. I don't know what happened from a sound check.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Um,
either.
okay. All right. Hang on.
Okay.
I'm going to just call in with my telephone. Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and run the poll question, and you can see if you can maybe call in, which may help us with the sound. All right. So for our poll question, which of these resources and opportunities are available for AP teachers and students through Advanced Learning and NC's AP partnership? Is it UNC Systems AP credit policy, the AP Summer Institute scholarships, the AP financial bonuses paid on January 31st, the AP exam fees funded for all enrolled AP students, or professional development such as AP mentoring and pre-AP? I'm going to go ahead
Oh,
and
great.
launch that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that is much clearer. Wonderful.
Oh, great. Great. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that.
So let's go
Thank
ahead
you,
and
Dr.
do a quick sound check. If you can hear
Okay.
Beth now better, please go ahead and raise your hand.
Hello, hello.
Okay, good.
Everybody
Yes.
can hear me okay?
Yes. All
Great.
right. So let's go ahead and do our question. Looks like folks are filling that out. Please go ahead and vote. Which of these resources and opportunities are available for AP teachers and students?
Great.
All right, let's go ahead and finish up our voting and then we'll close out our poll. All right, thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and share the results, and Beth, you can take it from here.
Great. Okay. So 64%, like 93% know about the AP Summer Institute scholarships. That's fantastic. But then it looks like all 5 answers actually are correct. So most of you know about most of the resources and opportunities available, and that's great news. And great news for you, we're going to touch on each one of these this afternoon. I'll just keep looking at the time, make sure I don't go over. All right? So the first thing I'm going to talk about are the AP teacher bonuses. About 3 years ago, the legislature ran a pilot program for bonuses for our AP teachers and IB teachers, and then added Cambridge teachers last year. And this is something that's in legislation. So the pilot is no more, and it's actually something that will be recurring, which is exciting for AP teachers. It is to support, access for our students as well as, excellence in the classroom. So this is for AP scores that are 3, 4, or 5. Those are scores that are qualifying, and teachers would actually get $50 per qualifying score. So if you taught 20 students and 10 students actually scored a 3, 4, or 5 on your exam, you would then earn or have $500 in your as a bonus. Now, there was a couple of years ago, the cap was at $2,000, and last year they increased the cap to $3,500. So that's the maximum amount awarded to teachers. That would be equivalent to 70 qualifying scores. Now, the other caveat, since this is to support teaching in the classroom, teachers must be teaching through January 1 of the year the bonus is paid. So this is based on 2017-18 school year and 2018 AP exams, which I believe you looked at scores last webinar. And it means that the teacher cannot hold another role in the district. So if a teacher becomes an assistant principal or if a teacher becomes a district person, they would not be eligible for the bonus. Also, if a teacher retires in the fall semester, for example, that teacher is no longer eligible either. So to remain eligible for the bonus, the teacher must still be teaching through January 1 in the same district or charter school the year the bonus is paid. Are there any questions about that? So that actually will be in the teacher's check tomorrow. So this is quite timely if you are a coordinator in a district to ensure that your AP language teachers have received their bonus. That would be really important. Or if you are a teacher in the classroom, definitely take a look at that and make sure that that is included. Another great thing from our legislators is that they have removed an obstacle for students. If an obstacle was, and I believe it may have been $94 for an exam, that has been removed. They provide, North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, money to cover AP exam fees. We do cover fees for all public school students. We do, that's both traditional and charter schools. There is no limit to the number of test fees. So if a student takes 7 AP courses or 8 AP courses, then funding for those courses will be funded actually for the district. For students who are enrolled in the course is something that's very key, because students can take an AP exam even if they are not enrolled in the course. If that happens, the student has to actually pay for the exam. So the students must be enrolled in an AP, an IB, or a Cambridge course to receive funding for the exam fee. Something that has always happened, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this with your AP coordinator, but rebates are then provided to the schools to help with AP program implementation. There's a rebate, $9 per exam, that is actually returned to the school in September of the following year. So September of 2018 would have given you the rebate from the May 2018 exams. And that is, of course, to help with program implementation, as I said. Now, DPI will not cover exams for any late testing fees or unused exams. And I believe it still costs $15 to return an unused exam to College Board. And so we would not pay for that. We also are not able to cover exam fees for students in private schools or home schools, or even at university-based schools like School of Science and Math, for example. And then, like I said, students not enrolled in the course are not included. Another wonderful initiative from our legislature is the partnership. There is a partnership with College Board. The mission is there is to prepare and inspire and connect students to post-secondary success with a particular focus on minority students, or those who are underrepresented in our post-secondary education. The purpose is to improve college readiness of secondary students and to assist secondary schools to ensure that students have access to high-quality, rigorous academics with a focus on access to advanced placement courses. What you'll see there is the NCAPP website. We call it NCAPP. And on that website, there are some tools that you can use if you're an AP teacher or for your AP teachers. They actually have several resources, a webinar series that you can watch. They have listed some upcoming events. They have listed their NCAPP districts because they do have 21 targeted districts that they're working with. There's professional development links to several things from the College Board site. The director is Kathleen Cook. She also works with Jerry McMahon and Michelle Lorsey. If any of these names sound familiar, you may be one of the targeted districts. The targeted districts for this year are Asheboro City, Avery, Columbus, Duplin, Edgecombe, Franklin, Greene, Iredell Statesville, Lenoir, Lexington City, Lincoln, Nash Rocky Mount, Person, Randolph, Richmond, Robeson, Sampson, Scotland, Wayne, Weldon City, Wilson, and Yancey. So those are the targeted districts. So they sometimes get a little bit more of the professional development, targeted professional development visits from the team of 3, rigor walkthroughs, or other professional development like how do you use your AP scores, how do you read your instructional reports. So that is a wonderful partnership. Through that partnership, if we can go to the next slide, they have a group with College Board who works with the Institutes of Higher Education. And their legislative group worked with the UNC system to create an AP credit policy. And this is something that they actually passed last July, and they've worked all fall on guidelines and parameters for our schools, our colleges, the 16 in the system, for implementation of fall 2019. And this policy, as you probably know, it is up to a college or university. They determine whether or not they will accept an AP courses exam score for a specific credit for a class. And I think I just said that very confusedly. But they might accept AP, let's say AP Calculus. One school may accept a 3, 4, or 5, all qualifying scores, or for lack of a better term, passing scores. Another school may only take a 4 or 5. Another school in the system may only accept 5s for credit. And so what this policy does is it standardizes the credit that students can earn in our UNC system. And this is something that Margaret Spellings was able to get passed before she left, but this is the 17 campuses in the UNC system. This will offer more opportunities for our students to earn college credit, and it is starting this fall. So for these students who are graduating May or June 2019, this applies to them. Of course, the benefits include reduced tuition costs. Also, they see that research shows that students complete college when they have these scores, and then they have these credit, and also to address any achievement gaps that we may have. Another wonderful thing is that students who already have covered that material do not need to revisit the same material that they've already learned. So that is wonderful. They have said that by standardizing how it treats AP scores, the UNC system will grant credit for 40% more courses this way on an annual basis. So that's a pretty hefty amount, I think. So we'll see. Stay tuned. Something else that our NCAPP provides us with is professional development. So I mentioned the targeted districts do kind of receive some special treatment, I would say, with different workshops, pre-AP workshops, AP Summer Institutes, some mentoring. But AP Summer Institutes are available for all of our AP teachers. So I wanted you to know about this right now, because sometimes they start loading these Summer Institutes in February of the year, in the spring, and it's never too early to have a teacher register so they can attend the 5-day AP Summer Institute. It's a good experience for our teachers. Many of the languages sometimes are in other states, which is a little bit of an obstacle, but they do provide AP Summer Institute scholarships for all 115 districts in our state. So that's something to look forward to, and that would mean make sure that you connect with your AP coordinator in your district, because the email will definitely go to them, letting them know how many scholarships they have available. AP mentoring is another opportunity from College Board, as I mentioned, but it's only in those 3 subjects currently, and we have asked for them to please expand. The AP mentoring actually connects a teacher, a novice teacher, with a veteran AP teacher who could be across the state, and they work with each other virtually all throughout the year. So it's a great mentoring piece, especially if you have someone like you all who may be a singleton. You may not have AP Japanese in one area, and so this would really help if there wasn't someone in the district to support that person. They also have pre-AP workshops that are available to everyone, and that's focused on mostly middle school and 9th, maybe 10th grades, just to build that scaffolding strategies for our students to help prepare them for the college level courses. Something that I know that Anne-Marie talked to you about last time as well is AP 2019. So our partnership folks are focused on this, as College Board pretty much is focused on this. To prepare for this, there are a couple of things. From a teacher's perspective, there are going to be many more resources and supports for you. One thing that I've been told is going to happen in June, every teacher who's listed on an AP course ledger in a district is going to receive a hard copy of the unit planning document, or booklet, I think it is, with lessons, suggested pacing. That is actually going to come to your school, is what we've been told. So if I'm told something differently between now and then, I'll make sure that Dr. Gunter knows and can let you know that. But that will also be offered as a PDF on their website, but definitely many more resources than they've had in the past, where we might have released items. Those have been increased. They've worked with ETS to double those, so there are released exam items that you've never even seen. And there will also be an availability for you to electronically create a roster with your students and have a dashboard where you can actually watch their progress, send them test items to complete, a quiz or whatever, and then watch them, give them feedback throughout the year. You'll get feedback by looking at your students' formative information, but there are unit assessments, question banks, you'll have a performance dashboard, and the unit guides. So that's really wonderful. The other thing that's going to happen at the same time is, and if you clicked on that picture, it will actually take you to, it should take you to the, it's not working?
Yeah, I just clicked on the picture, but it took us to this PowerPoint presentation you see here.
Instead of the video.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there is a video. We're going to send the link to you so that you can share that with your colleagues. Because what's on the left is going to benefit the teachers. What's on the right is going to benefit your schools, your AP coordinators, especially at your schools. So the exam ordering that usually happens in March is going to happen by November, so that you can then have your rosters as well. The exams will be ordered. Their research shows that students are more committed when they register this early, and their scores are better because they are more engaged. So that's hopefully what will definitely happen. So when it's time for the materials to come to the schools, they will actually have labels, no more student bubbling. circles or bubbling the wrong circles. None of that is going to take place. They don't have to take time out of anyone's class to do that, or lunch, or before school or after school. So hopefully that's going to be more improved. But at this point, and when they implement this, it will be $40 for any unused exam instead of $15. So there are other things that are going to occur. Here's the timeline for teachers. Right now, there are new informational videos available. There's one that will make sure that we make sure that it's working and send to you. In the spring of 2019, as usual, if a teacher is new to teaching AP, it will be time to submit their course audit form and create their syllabus. In May, they say that there will be self-paced online modules available, and they will be interactive. So that will be helpful as you prepare for 2019-20. By August the 1st, it seems that they'll have the classroom support systems open. So hopefully that will go really smoothly. They do prefer or recommend that before school starts that you are familiarizing yourself with the system and start exploring, that something happened there, start exploring the sequence and pacing calendars, consider the unit guides and how you might use personal progress checks, consider how to use the AP question bank for checking, for student checks on understanding. It's exciting, but it's also a little bit nerve-wracking that so much is going to happen in a short time. In March, on March 21st, we are working with district personnel and principals on AP 2019. I'm working with the NCAPP partnership folks. So hopefully we'll have even more questions answered. I don't know if there are any questions now, but if you had some after this broadcast, there's my information, my telephone number, and my email. Thanks for having me today. I'm sorry about the sound earlier.
No problem. I think when everything solves, thank you so much for sharing with us about what's happening with our AP programs and especially the new resources and things. This is extremely helpful. I'm not seeing any particular questions at the moment, but if you do have questions for Beth, you can just put them in right now. I do see someone's made a comment that I'm going to hold on to for a moment because it's about sharing what they do in the AP classroom. So we're going to talk about that in just a bit here.
Okay, great. Thank you all.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, seeing no questions and seeing that, Beth, you were perfectly on time. We have just a few moments to finish up. Let's just talk about quickly our reminders and resources before we go today. As always, I want to make sure you know that our materials from today's broadcast will be posted, and here you see some other recent professional development webinars we've done. We did a K-12 program showcase on classical languages on October 24th, and then we did the broadcast on December 5th about measuring world language proficiency and credentialing with our global languages endorsement. Those materials are all posted on the webinar series information page that we looked at earlier, and that's where I'll post these materials for you today. Beth mentioned that she had a video about the AP information, and we'll post that there so that you can access it whenever you need it. Also, this is an update about the rest of our World Language Webinar series. You can see that we are halfway done because 5 of our 10 webinars are finished. They're the ones grayed out. Our next one coming up is February 20th. It'll be an Essential Standards program showcase again, and we're aiming to focus in on dual and heritage language programs. Then we also have in April 2 broadcasts, the Measuring World Language Proficiency Series 1. I think that one will be focused on formative assessment. And then at the end of April, 24th, is our last DPI World Language Quarterly Update webinar for the year, because that'll be the 4th quarter. And then in May, we'll have another Measuring World Language Proficiency series on summative assessment on May 1st. And on May 15th, we'll have our last program showcase, which will be looking at modern language programs. Couple reminders too about things coming up. We have our 7th International Conference on Immersion and Dual Language Education. We are hosting that here in North Carolina this year, next week in Charlotte, North Carolina. So information is online as you see there at NCDLI 2019. Also, I want to remind everyone that the Flank Annual Fall Conference call for proposals has gone out. Those proposals need to be in by March 1st. Our Flank 2019 theme is What's Your Piece of the Puzzle? And it explores and shares how we integrate our other areas of expertise along with our world language content. So if you use technology or service learning or leadership or project-based learning, now is your time to put in a proposal to talk about how you do that in your world language classroom. We had someone earlier say that they have had a proposal accepted to the American Association of Teachers of French, or AATF, National Conference. And they said they're going to be talking about using music to contextualize the AP units and design units. So if you're an AP teacher, because that's what we've been talking about today, or an IB teacher, or you integrate technology or service learning or any of the things like this, consider putting in a Flank proposal and sharing that here within the state. It's always great when our North Carolina educators can share at their national conferences like the AATF conference or the SCOLT conference regionally, but also we need to bring it home here to North Carolina and make sure we're putting those proposals in for our state conference. You can have different types of presentations at the state conference. You can do a 3-hour workshop, a 15-minute session, a research roundtable, or a pre-conference webinar. So there's lots of options and ways to share what you're doing in your classroom with others. Also, just a reminder about our world language listservs. Again, we have 4 different listservs. You saw that on our new website, but then there's information here about how you can sign up for those, a link to that, and as always, information in the notes page about that as well. Finally, this is our contact page, so you can always contact NCDPI World Languages on our Google site. You've seen that now, and I've outlined where you can link to the materials from this presentation. That's what all the red circles are. We also have an NCDPI World Languages Facebook page, and I encourage you to like that page. I tend to put out classroom resources that are shared for teachers in all languages and sometimes in multiple languages, so that's always there for you as well. We are right at 5 o'clock, so we're right on time today, which is excellent. If you have any final questions, please be sure and put them in. I'm going to go ahead and close out our recording. I do thank you for joining us today, and we'll try to get this recording processed as soon as possible.